Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
So, when Ria, Sahiti, and I told Aleena that we were booking a 100-seater hall for her poetry reading, she was like, okay, that's optimistic. But we were like, no, Aleena, Bangalore is hungry for the kind of clear sighted political expression you bring. And tonight we are more than sold out. 110 folks here. Beating Bangalore traffic on a Wednesday evening. Aleena, the thing is that Bangaloreans want to be political and revolutionary. We're all a little radical at heart. The problem is that in Bangalore, we sit in traffic. Okay, 2.5 hours one way, and then we just want to go home and sleep. No energy to protest at Freedom Park. Especially in summer like this when there's no rain and there's a water shortage, and people have to buy ACs, and everyone's complaining like, Bangalore is never this hot, yeah. Forgetting that it was the same story last year. It's like we all have heat amnesia. And then one rain happens, the weather changes, and we're all sitting on our balconies taking pictures for Instagram like, ha ha ha, Moongaru Male, hashtag Bangalore is Bangaloring. So now the problem is that the weather is amazing, so now we're in no mood to stage a government coup. And anyway, one rain and all the roads and underpasses are flooded, so anyway, we have to sit at home. But we are still radical at heart. So we love this, Aleena, and we love you. Besides, I'm sure all the Malayalis in Bangalore have come to this. And Aleena has something special just for all of you. Before I let Aleena get started, a couple of housekeeping things. There are restrooms in the back. Sorry, my stomach is rolling. There are restrooms in the back there, gender neutral for tonight. Please keep your phones on silent. You are welcome to take photos and videos discreetly. So as long as you're not up here like a wedding photographer with your bottom in everyone's faces, you're fine.
And please tag us.
Yes, and when you post it online, please tag Aleena and Moonbird. Thank you to Atagalata for this space. Thank you to our lovely volunteers, Sopanika, Annie, Vani, Aman, and Shaheen. Thank you to our videographer, Demon, who's recording this for people who are not here tonight. So please be on your best behavior. If anyone is not comfortable being photographed, please let Sahiti know, and we'll make sure we don't turn the camera that way. We also have a reporter here from the News Minute, Amanda. Thank you for coming. So, on to the program tonight. We have Aleena with us, all the way from Kochi. She's a writer, poet, the author of Silk Route, and the recipient of the 2022 Kerala Sahitya Academy Kanakshri Award. I got that right. She also has an Instagram account with an enviable follow account, which is probably where most of us discovered her work. So Aleena is going to be sharing some of her poetry for the next 40 minutes. After that, Ria will come on and give us some like juicy conversation and get into, yeah.
Ask us some
yeah,
juicy questions.
Yeah. We'll end the evening with some very respectful audience questions from all of you. And before leaving, please support Aleena's fundraiser for Adi Shakti Summer School in Kerala, which is over there in the back with Vani. So donate generously and take home some of Aleena's poetry. Also, I've been told that there are some copies of her book, Silk Route, there. Unfortunately, it's in Malayalam, so only those of us who can read it can get it. Those of us who can't are just like going to be sad. Yeah.
Get it as
So,
souvenir.
yeah, I mean, just get it and get a friend to. I think so. Yeah. Yeah, I hope so. That's all from me. My mouth is getting like super duper dry. Thank you everyone for listening to me. Enjoy the show, and without further ado,
Let's give it up for
Oh my god, a lot of people are here. A lot of people I've been talking to on Instagram is here. Oh, yeah, and my friends Ria, Indu, Sahiti, Shaheen, and my friend and flatmate Manu. He came here just to see me in a different location. He lives in my lives in my flat, and and a lot of my favorite people are here. And so I'm so happy. So tonight we are gonna find out what happens when you pass the mic to people who have been historically denied the mics. So so we are gonna keep on talking and keep on reading poems. So yeah, that's all for the introduction. So just straight to the poems. So the first one is called Heirlooms. So for some poems, I'm gonna give some little bit of context in the before, and for some poems, it's gonna be after, because if the context is first for certain poems, the poems are gonna sound very underwhelming. So yeah, and that's for the context. But spoiler alert, everything is gonna be about caste. So first poem is called Heirlooms. So heirlooms. They say I have my mother's nose, the broad crooked bridge, nostrils open to sideways, one always sniffing new flowers in the garden while the others take keen for the hints of fish burning in the kitchen. But only my mother knew the rage lingered on the tip of my nose was my father's. My grandmother's long, straight silver hair translated into an ancient language's string of cursive letters in bold black ink across my scalp. From her big brown eyes, I got only the sorrow buried deep underneath, and her friends recognized it. My grandfather passed on his skin with its black warts and bumps. I wore it proudly like a cape, and people laughed at me because it wasn't fashion yet. I got my auntie's handwriting, not her poetry. My great aunt's laugh, not her humor. I sense all the mothers in my bones, but do not possess half their mind. I feel them dripping their fruits from the top branches of what we call a family tree, but my tongue's too new to taste them. I carry dead babies' delicate bodies in my fingertips. I speak in their blood. So this poem is like a family sketch, like what is going on in my family. So I've been like using and abusing my family's history for my art for so long. So this I have told many times before. Like I lift stories when my mother and grandmother is talking. So we do this kitchen things together. So cooking is like one of the major part of any Indian woman's life because patriarchy, of course. So we have a lot of prep work for most of our dishes, and as children, we are like supposed to help our mothers. As girl children, you are supposed to help our mothers. And when I go there, grandma and my mom they talk about a lot of things like what's happening out there, and all the neighborhood spicy gossips. So without those conversations, I'm nothing. I would be like, I don't know what else to write. So this is like the whole thing is lifted from their conversations and what I have observed as a child. So that's it. The second poem is called Caste Apologists. You know who these people are. Actually, I have never met these amount of caste apologists ever in my life, because people around me they are so woke, so they don't know how to say so so they know how to hide their apologies. So they know how to hide, they know how to appear woke. I'm not blaming them. So because upper caste people they are feeling threatened everywhere, no? So so I cannot blame them. So I in on Instagram or in social media it's like a different story. Like people are so unhinged, like they're so unhinged. They some people are very brave. They post things from their own original accounts with their family pictures and smiling kids and their mother-in-laws, dada dadi, and everyone is there. And yeah, so this is like I felt so bad that people uh, like Franz Fanon has written that he has written that racism also demands it strips the humanity away. So the same thing with caste. It's like your humanity is gone. Like you don't act like a human being. Like this apology is like being so apologetic about what's happening around us. It's too bad, guys. Don't do it, okay? so so caste apologists. What to do with this caste apologists, the monsters lurking under soft smiles and passive language? They see everything, hear everything, know everything. Their comfort zone is explaining the violence to people who suffer it. But that wasn't the intention. But that's so normal. Maybe it's your fault. How about this? How about that? Explaining everything except the blood on their hands. They prefer reformation, not abolishment, kindness, not justice. They love a revolution that doesn't take anything away from them. They ask us to give the world trigger warnings which were never offered to us. They want us to soften the edges of our rage so they can walk past us without hurting themselves. But they are the ones who create school dropouts. They enable caste rapes, land grabbings. From their silence, our villages burn down. They gaslight our youth into killing themselves. They are complicit in destroying lives. They are honorary caste criminals. So I forgot to tell you something. Trigger warning. so so uh, so that was the caste apology. It came from anger actually. I wasn't like, trying to say anything. It was just pure anger. We feel so angry that we don't have the, language to like, say that. We used to uh, see this every day. Like when something happens, people are always like, maybe it's their fault. It happens with women as well in general. When something happens to women or to queer people, people are like, oh, it's their fault. But nowadays, people started calling them out. Like if a prominent figure or political figure or an actor is saying that, they definitely get uh, they definitely get to face the consequences of saying that. Recently, an actress in Malayalam, she kind of she said that one actress complained about another actor like kind of misbehaving, and this actress said, "Oh, that was just a joke." And every day people are like writing against her, like people are calling her out. So it happens with women issues nowadays because the feminist movement, that only. So but with caste, even women are like not that. And that is actually breaks my heart. Like why are women supporting caste system? Like what are they gaining from it? It's very confusing for me. So that was caste apologies. So there is another poem, My English. People always make fun of my accent. So this is like you have to speak in a certain way to be taken seriously. Otherwise, people will find something to make fun of you. And actually, this poem, I wrote this poem a couple of years ago. It Because I was like starting to write in English, and I don't know where to publish my works or anything. I don't know what is the scene in English literary scene. So I thought maybe I'll go to some prominent poets Wikipedia page and see where they are publishing. So I went to Meena Kandasami's page. So so if someone is ready to publish her, they will be ready to publish me as well. So this is like we have to find our own networks now. So I was reading her Wikipedia page, and there is one column called criticism. I was like, okay, this is quite interesting. What are people criticizing her? What are their criticism? And I opened that section, and do you know what the criticism is? She makes grammar mistakes. Oh my god. That's like the last thing you should be saying about her poetry. And in Wikipedia, there is like references. There was only one reference, and I clicked on that link, and it was written by some, who might have wrote that. Obviously, a Sangh Parivar journalist. Very surprising. So, yeah, I thought, wow, this is like another level of policing one's English. And adding that to a poet's Wikipedia page, this is like another level. So I thought maybe I should write something about it, not as a solidarity or something, because I also because I also go through that, because we also feel like less confident in using English, and people actually they find uh, like if you are worthy of listening, they look at your English normally. And Indians, we I think most of us can relate to this experience. Yeah, this is the problem. We have to write in a way that it most people can relate. Yeah. So my English is simple because it is afraid of making mistakes which are indeed punishable by death. My English is first generation. Its parents were working in someone's kitchen, cooking a meal it would never eat, toiling in someone's land, growing flowers it would never smell. Its grandparents converted into Christianity. Their parents were slaves. My English has no roots touching the late Queen, but a mere pseudo arm protruded from a mean missionary's tongue, talking about heaven and hell, justice and equality, such heavy loads Jesus himself was talking about. My English is my English is a slave owner's illegitimate child. My English has issues with subject verb agreement because it was a subject in its whole life, never felt any agreements fair, and all the verbs were always against it. My English never gets their tenses right. It's quite tensed about the future and stuck in past. My English swallows the articles because it's always hungry. It spits out the crumbs. People call it a freak experimental poetry. My English gets quota seats in national seminars but is denied discounted prices for being outdated. My English has no Shakespeare's. Its Sylvia Plaths are committing suicides. Mary Shelley's face real life horrors, and John Keats's die in the cradles. My English is a token and a slang. Its identity is mine. My English is a war veteran. It is just tired. So that is my English. Moving on to my Savarna friend. So this is like we all have Savarna friends. I think we should make it. We should normalize saying that when somebody is accusing us to be like against one community or targeting Brahmins or something, we should say, "Oh, I have a Brahmin friend." I don't need to say that. I have a Savarna friend. How can you say that? Yeah, my Savarna friend. My Savarna friend invites me for lunch and grabs the bill from the waiter's hands before I can reach, just like they reach everywhere before me, and sighs like Sahodran Ayyappan because this was their Misra Bhojanam. Their parents could never, their grandparents might faint. So this I'll quickly explain this. What is this Sahodar Nagar? Malayalis know, but this is when caste system was in its most brutal stage. You are not supposed to eat with oppressed caste people. So if you are eating with oppressed caste people, they lose their caste status. And when slavery and slave trade was such huge in Kerala, people like kidnap oppressed caste people from their even children. They kidnap them and forcefully make them eat from oppressed caste people, and then they lose their caste status, and they were sold as slaves. So Sahodran Ayyappan, he was the one to conduct the Misra Bhojanam, that is eating together, like a communal eating, and it was like met with a lot of criticism and everything during that time. But sometimes I think BJP MLAs are still thinking that this we are still living in that era. That's why they are like going in Dalit families and eating with them. Like they are still living like 100 years ago. So that was the explanation. Sorry, I'll continue reading the poem. My Savarna friend tags me in Instagram posts on caste violence, women getting raped, men getting killed, beaten, houses burned, villages destroyed, and says, look, you should see this. This won't happen in Kerala, right? Yeah, they do this all the time. Like most people, they do. I might be like happily scrolling through Instagram and maybe looking at some eyeshadow videos or something, and then I get notification that I get notification that Brahmin tagged you in a post, and then look into that post. It would be like the most atrocious thing I will be seeing. Like, look, Aleena, this is happening. And I'll be like, yeah, I know. Yeah, this is like, oh, you should see. It's like, white people, they always joke that white people think like Indians know every other Indian. Then they think like we know every other Dalit person in the country. Do you know this person? Is he your uncle? Yeah, it's just joking. My Savarna friend shoves microphone into my mouth when I cry because they like to amplify my voice. My, my Savarna friend makes sure I get quota chairs in national seminars, public events, celebrations to talk about caste because nothing else about my life, not even my poetry, matters. My Savannah friend runs beside me with a notepad, scribbles down quickly when I talk, collects data when I went asking, now tell me about your grandmother. Tell me about conversion. My Savannah friend compresses me into the small boxes of spreadsheets and buries me there. My Savannah friend says, I'm privileged, but I'm upper caste, but I was a casteist in the past. But you can add anything like I was against reservation in the past, but and our friendship hangs tight on the buds. My Savannah friend bears me like their appendix, but can remove and abandon me when I become too dangerous. That's when you start calling them out on their bullshit. Uh, but little do they know I'm in constant fight with the vestigial organs of their past. Like you try to excuse their behavior at first. Like, shall I tell them that? There is this confusion going on. And for women, it's for men, our male friends as well. Like when to call them out, what to let go. Like that confusion is there. My Savannah friend displays me like I'm the fashion accessory they got for being too political. Because unlike their ancestors, they can't simply buy me from the market anymore like cattle. So they must win me over. Like, hey, they perform their politics too much, they get a Dalit friend. So they can tell, yeah, I have a Dalit friend. And when we perform too much, we'll get a Savannah friend. we'll get a, we'll get a walk Savannah friend. I'm sorry. Please don't be offended. You don't go and write in Reddit that I used to like her before, but now she's too unhinged. So that was my Savannah friend because we all have this experiences in the past that we have Savannah friends in the college and in the school, and they say the most problematic shit, and we have to bear with it because we are their friends. But then we get progressive Savannah friends, and they also say the same problematic shit, and then we have to bear with them or call them out. And then we will be like, Aleena, how can you tell me that I'm neurodivergent? Like, they use their every they they use their every other marginalization like a shield, and yeah, that's there. So it's sometimes we feel like what's the point? It's very disheartening, but still we have to move forward because still we got that anger in our hearts, and not only anger, we have we become empathetic towards people because we know like the friendship and love. So a lot of behaviors we excuse, but a lot of behaviors we call them out. Yeah. So the next one is called Sister, I'm Not Your Sister. So actually, this I have felt is that we feel like we are like, sisters and everything, but what I felt is this sisterhood is so forced. So this is so forced upon us. So we can't say anything. And and in real life, in the real world, do you know how much effort it takes to actually build a friendship? It takes immense energy, work, and a lot of self-reflection. And these people will come and become our allies, and we are automatically supposed to treat them as our close friends. And and when they are not acting like, or we are not acting like our friends, but then they'll find a problem, and it feels like a lot of bitching, right? It's, no, but yeah, this is Sister, I'm Not Your Sister. Sister, you inherit land from your ancestors. I inherit outdated clothes, 2 sizes large from my cousins. Not because they had a massive wardrobe reboot, they just went to nursing college, started eating thrice a day, and their bodies caught up real fast. I know we went to the same university campus, but I conveniently forgot we went to different schools, learned different curriculum, and did different extracurriculars. I collected firewood in the evenings. You went to math tuition. I grazed our cattle, weeded our garden, and husked arecanuts, milked the cows. You learned music. I thought we were same because we both do not know how to weave a basket or mats. I despised my mother so much, her skills were nothing to me, but your mother didn't know how to weave baskets to begin with. I thought we were same because we both watched TV while our peers ran with plastic pots, stood in line to collect water from public taps. But having a well is not equal to having a water pump. Having electricity is not the same as having AC. Having a TV is not as fun as having internet. Sister, we read the same books, listen to same music, watch the same movies, but we laugh at different jokes, cries at different songs, long for different feelings. Yes, I write horror stories not because I'm a Stephen King fan, but I went to sleep listening to slave mother lullabies, songs filled with agony, separation, under breast milk, rotting and leached infant corpses, and pain. Sister, maybe our relationship a fantasy, and those who indulge in fantasies gets hurt in the end. I'm not your sister. I cannot be your sister. So that is Sister, I'm not your sister. So the next one is there is a war happening in my neighborhood. Uh, so this is one of the stories I heard as a child. There is a war happening in my neighborhood. Lily Auntie, that old lady with round face and round glasses, squeaky voice, and heavy footsteps, ran behind her baby cow, which ran towards the vegetable garden of Sheena Auntie, that lady with pimple scars and dimples, long hair and lice, small feet and a big mouth. The baby cow, with its brown spots, childhood innocence, and animalistic morality, ate the chili plant, Sheena Auntie's baby. What have you done? Shinandi screamed. Since the plant is from her late mother, she cared as if her mother's soul inhabited the fiery flavor of reds. She cared for the plant just like her mother who sat and pissed on bed. It's a cow, for fuck's sake, Liliandi cried, grabbing the rope, pulling the rope. Oh, is it so? Shinandi grew a foot taller like a fairy tale witch and said, let's see how you would fetch water from my well then. Side plot, Sheena Auntie had the only well in the whole neighborhood. She didn't dig it, neither did her family. Her husband's ancestors, who traveled from western paddy fields, most probably ran away from the western paddy fields, settled here, which once was a lonely hillside. Right before perishing of hunger and thirst, an angel appeared and shoved them a fountain where they dug a well later. Lily Andy probably thought of it as an angry rant and went back smiling, happy as the baby cow was not captured by a greedy butcher, and returned to their dinner tables as beef stew simmering in its mother's milk. That very evening, Lily Andy went with pots dangling in her body and was stopped at the footsteps of that majestic well. There were shoutings and screamings, of course. Lily Andy, while leaving with empty pots, yelled for a last time, I know your secret, Sheena, and pointed those accusatory fingers at the very pregnant belly of Sheena Auntie. The child is not your husband's. I have seen that installment boy leaving your house, buttoning his shirt, oh, multiple times. Stories ran faster than the baby cow. All the hell broke loose, and Sheena Auntie gave birth in the middle of it. Families came, elders came, and even Panchayat president came. Sheena Auntie hid the baby, nobody saw it. Even for the baptism at church, people saw only a bundle of white lace and velvet. People peeped and did all the people things. How does the baby look like? What's its complexion? Is it normal weight? Does it resemble her husband or the installment boy? Curiosity grew and never stopped growing. The village was shaken awake, asking questions, invading memories. Did you see Sheena Auntie's baby? So if anyone asks you, how does it look like? You just tell them Sheena Auntie's baby look like Sheena Auntie. So that's the poem. So this is a story I heard when I was like, helping my mother in kitchen. And when our mothers they talk, they kind of excuse us at first, like maybe we'll be not able to understand what they're saying. But from their conversation, we pick certain things and keep asking questions like what is it? How can it happen? They'll be like, oh shut up. Don't ask questions. So this was one of the stories. So certain things like my area, the area where we live, like people, that was like a very lonely hillside place. There were not much people out there, except for some tribal communities. There were nobody else there. So my ancestors, they kind of ran away from their masters and kind of settled in nearby areas, and then they met with missionaries, missionaries. Everybody hate missionaries, like, oh yeah, they're so bad. And missionaries kind of converted them, scandalous. And converted them. There is a lot of stories out there, like why did they convert? And some people say they wanted to build plantations in the high range area, like tea, coffee, rubber, and they wanted laborers. So that's why they converted a lot of Dalits in that area. So that is there. But there is other reasons as well. Like they are also people, no missionaries. They sometimes, like people like Henry Baker and all, and people missionaries like what is his name? Oh, I forgot. Shit. And these people, they were like kind of pitied Dalits, to be honest. They kind of pitied because these people are living like animals and they don't have anything going on in their life, anything nice going on. So Henry Baker thought he knows what to do with these people. He know what's best. He thought he know what's best for them, and let's convert. So the that maybe that's how it happened. So they traveled, they ran away, and they settled in this hillsides, and they built villages there. And we are all their descendants living there, and they worked in the plantations. For sure, they were very hardworking people. It's not like they didn't work hard. That's why we are getting reservations and everything. They worked hard. We are also working hard in our respective fields. So this is like uh, kind of honoring their memory even when we are sharing gossip. So we have to like always do something or say something which honor our ancestors. Like yeah, people like complain that we always talk about our ancestors, like what is it, but it's not our fault that their ancestors were uh, human traffickers and rapists and murderers. It's not a fault that they can't talk about their ancestors like we talk about our ancestors, and it's not their fault either. But they don't they can't like say the same things about their ancestors. So yeah, and they will tell you like Why are you punishing me for my ancestors' crimes? Then what about your crimes? What are you saying? Like, you are against reservation, and that in itself is like an ethos against sharing resources. Or that in itself is against uh, equality in a sorts. And also, the thing is like, they act like if they were alive during their ancestors times, they wouldn't do these things to us. They act like them, that no. But uh, they are not, this thing I have felt always, because they are not doing certain things nowadays, because of course laws are there. And also, the things they do nowadays, it doesn't necessarily challenge the status quo. If it was challenging it, they wouldn't have done it. So yeah, so that's that. And then the next poem is called, I don't believe in caste. I had Dalit friends in childhood. Your Dalit friend may not tell you this because they are nice, but they did notice your mother serving them food in a different plate, or your mother packing lunch specifically on the days group study was held at their house. Your Dalit friend understood why your grandmother asked them their father's name, grandfather's name, even great grandfather's name, and scoffed at the end. Or you come from that family. Trust me when I say this, your Dalit friend is particularly good at reading faces, expressions, trying to assess where they are welcome and where they are not, and what can be touched and what cannot. Your Dalit friend still recalls you benevolently telling them it's easier for them to get a government job and crack exams like raw eggs, and they don't feel good or proud that you chose them as your friend, despite to despise Dalits in general. No, no, they don't feel special for that. Your Dalit friend remembers how they raised curtains, arranged benches, and cleaned verandas while you and others performed Des Rangila on stage for Independence Day. They remember not making into any sports team, not picked up in science project, and their only contribution to group assignments was running to stores and taking Xerox because their ideas kept on getting rejected. Your Dalit friend still sees you whining about reservation, haha, reacting to memes on it. And they take a deep breath when you run into each other on streets and mumbles to themselves, ah, this idiot is there. Like if for you, they have better things to do than bursting your bubble and kicking your ass, and I'm proud of them. So actually, this is the poem which started everything, because I was minding my own things on Instagram, sharing the poems, and um, this poem was out there on my Instagram. And I think after a few months, after I posted, one negative comment came into that poem. Someone against reservation found it and they took offense and they commented, and then Instagram algorithm thought people against reservation are loving this poem, then I should push it to people who are against reservation. So I can't like remember how fast it happened, like thousands and thousands of comments. And I am, I am pettier and meaner than that. So I was traveling somewhere. I was like traveling for 8 hours or something. So for the whole 8 hours, I replied to all of the comments, and more people commented, and that's how it all started. And one interesting thing I noticed from that comment is, that line, not making into the sports team and everything. Someone commented, "You are not making into the sports team because there is no reservation in sports team. That's why there is reservation in government jobs. You won't let us get in if there is no reservation." So their mockery is like an argument supporting reservation. So they do this all the time. No, they try to like make some good argument, and the argument destroys itself. And the next poem is called To the Foreign God Who Does Not Speak My Language. Uh, the first lines are like this: The church I step on is built on the graves of my ancestors, so I don't mind if the incense smells slightly of bones burning or the wine tastes a bit like their blood. and the altar curtains dripped their sweat. I know it wasn't Holy Spirit who touched me, it was my late sister. So the church my mother and I used to attend, it is literally built on the graveyard of Dalits. Like it's literally, I mean, that was used to be a cemetery for my people who used to worship ancestors and all. This a different religious sect. So my church kind of bought that land from them. I don't know what money they gave them, and the church is literally standing on the dead body of my people. So the rest is like this. I'm a native in the island of faith, but treated like a Caliban because the God I serve is not mine. He is in theirs either. They just claimed him first. But you spoke to me through medieval Middle Eastern literature. I see you, I feel you in my stomach like like a cup of coffee not made for me. You are love you claim. I loved my neighbor but did not love myself. To be the master, I became a servant and I died being a servant. I felt the God in you in the burning bush. I saw the man in you on cross. Trusting you was the only thing my grandfather passed on because he faced the same horrors Jesus endured and hoped to rise on the third day. Heavy crosses morning to night until the day he died. I too unknowingly was called to bear the same cross. I underline your words, cry over your poetic words, rage on to keep you. But I seemed of knowledge, the same old fruit. I choose informed misery over blissful ignorance. So that is that poem. And the next one is called Daughters. The context I'll tell you after the poem. Daughters, I won't say we are the daughters of witches they couldn't burn because where I come from they didn't burn the witches. It sounds stupid. Eurocentric to be honest, quite liberal overused cliche, but I will say I am the daughter of women who were as babies kept locked in a pit, denied breast milk, attacked by thousands of ants, scorpions, snakes, and survived only to be sold later in a market. It is sick, cool but real, unheard of, a goth nightmare, metal AF. So this story is like when my ancestors, they're going for work and there is no one to take care of the baby, so they used to dig pits to keep babies in the pit. So when they come back, sometimes the babies will die, like maybe a snake will attack, and maybe there are stories I heard of babies like as small as like a week or 2 week old. They will ants will attack them and they will die. Then so it's very horrible. So I came to know about this because this is like a common knowledge, but as it because I never heard of people like casually telling this. But one day my grandma was like talking about an auntie in my house, in my family, extended family. She was like, oh, she's a wonderful cook. She might have eat shit as a baby. And I was like, what? What does it even mean? So my grandma was like, there is this belief that if you eat shit as a baby, you'll grow to be a wonderful cook. Like I was like, why would you eat shit as a baby? Then my grandma is like, because they're all put in one pit, no? So one baby will shit and the other baby will eat it. So it was so disgusting for it. For me, it felt so disgusting, but it's quite normal for them. And my grandma was like, how can you be so sure that you haven't done it in as a child, as a baby? I said, I'm damn sure I haven't done it because I'm a terrible cook. So I haven't done it. So these stories, these experiences will give birth to like superstitions and these kind of beliefs, and the scary part is that it's so normal to leave your infants like that. And if we are talking about this in this generation, people are going to judge us. Why are they leaving the babies like that? So it is very common nowadays for babies to have nannies and everything. But if there is no nanny, the mother will stay and look after the child. What if the mother is not allowed to look after the child? Because during those times, mothers were not allowed to. I have heard stories that these pits were made near where they work, and if the baby is crying, the woman is not supposed to leave the field and take care of the baby. So there was this story I have heard. There is uh, a mother was working in the field, and the landlord is there, and she is not supposed to. And the baby is crying. Baby is crying for a long time, and she's not supposed to like leave the field and feed the baby. The baby is hungry, of course, and she kind of like over there and feed her baby, and the landlord gets so angry that oh she is like resisting him, and then this landlord ordered to gather dry leaves, and they gathered dry leaves and they burnt both the baby and the mother. So these are the histories, these are the stories, these are the things that used to be normal in our country. And it's like a lot of things are normalized here nowadays as well in 2025. It's a lot of things are normalized, and using this legacy or this caste to attack a person is also normalized. Like nowadays, we feel like what happened 100 years ago, 50 years ago is horrible, but same things on the same lines are happening nowadays. So it's so normal for us. We don't even feel the caste is very normal. The discriminating someone based on caste is so normal that uh, people need to be uh, people need to see it being pointed out only to realize it. But they don't even want to believe it is there. They want to freely be castes, so they don't like it when you point it out. So they'll be like, attack you and say bad things to you. But still, it's people behave like it's their right, it's their birthright to, attack people based on caste. And yeah, and there is another poem I want to read. Yeah, it's called Them Stereotypes. My grandmother didn't know that we are supposed to have inferiority complex, so she held her head high while walking to that quarry to crush huge blocks and walked back home at the same height, took care of her 6 children, 13 grandchildren, 6 great grandchildren until she died. Took shit from nobody, didn't care for conformity because she didn't know we are supposed to have inferiority complex. My mother didn't know we are supposed to be dirty, so she wiped her employer's marbles, squeaky clean, cooked the meals, clothes steamed, pressed the seams, didn't leave any plates in the sink. Broom touched all the spots because she didn't know we are supposed to be dirty. My aunties didn't know we are supposed to be slutty, so some of them became nuns while others became moms. My older cousins didn't know we are supposed to lack merit, so they went to universities with borrowed books and second-hand clothes. And I didn't know we were supposed to stay silent, so I wrote it down for the world to read. So that's And when I posted this on Instagram, someone commented like, "My Brahmin grandparents also went through the same," and I was like, "Dude, the whole poem is about Dalit stereotypes, and your grandparents also had to face Dalit stereotypes." Okay, let me guess, they were dark skinned. Maybe the it's very funny that Savannah people dealing with colorism is letting the other person know that they are Savannah. That's how they deal with colorism, because caste is that closely tied to skin color, and they will get discriminated based on skin color until the moment they let the other person know that they are also in the same category. But it happens in their families, then they are fucked. They can't, they can't tell their Brahmin auntie that I am Brahmin, you cannot discriminate me. So, yeah. So, uh, yeah, I'll read one Malayalam poem too right now. Sorry. Yeah, so this poem is about, we are Christians now. We were not Christians in the before, in the past, but we were not Hindus either. This is like a myth that Dalits used to be Hindus, especially in Kerala, because we were not allowed in the temples. We were not allowed to even utter the names of their gods. Like, then what Hindu are we? If they're not allowed in the temple, they're not allowed. We had our own gods, like different kind of gods, and they mostly worshipped ancestral spirits. And And this is the thing with which is happening to Theyyam, Theyyam in North Kerala. So with a lot of local deities, they used to be local deities. Then they became Shiva, Vishnu, Ganesh, and everything. And the thing with Dalit people's Theyyam, like Pulaya Theyyam, the thing is their Theyyam, their gods are their ancestors, their ancestral spirits. So their ancestral spirits can't be Vishnu. So the Brahmanism is confused there. What to do with these people's gods? It's their ancestors. We cannot claim that. We don't want Dalit gods in our in our temple. Sorry, church. So we do. So they are at confusion, but we are also at confusion. We used to worship ancestral spirits. Now we are Christian. We cannot worship ancestral spirits. What happens to our ancestors? Are they like roaming around? Are they angry? So this poem is about that. രണ്ടാം വരവ്. വെല്ലുമ്മച്ചി മുറുക്കാൻ ചുവപ്പിരണ്ട കറുപ്പാണ് അവരുടെ പല്ലുകൾക്ക്. ചുളിഞ്ഞ തൊലിയിൽ പുളഞ്ഞ പച്ച ഞരമ്പുകൾ എഴുന്നു നിൽക്കും ഏതോ പുരാതന ലിപി പോലെ. പറമ്പിൽ കഞ്ഞിയും കറിയും കളിച്ചിരിക്കുമ്പോൾ അടയ്ക്കാക്കറ പുരണ്ട കൈകൾ വിടർത്തി അന്നക്കുട്ടി ഇങ്ങു വന്നേന്ന് വിളിക്കും. കയ്യിൽ വടിമുട്ടായി കാണും ഗവൺമെൻറ് ആശുപത്രിയിലെ ചീട്ടും കുപ്പിയിൽ ചുമമരുന്നും. വെല്ലുമ്മച്ചിയുടെ പേരാണ് എനിക്ക്, അന്നമ്മ ചുരുങ്ങിയ അന്ന. തലമുറകൾ കഴിയുമ്പോൾ ഞങ്ങളുടെ പേരടയാളങ്ങൾ ചെറുതാകുന്നു. വെല്ലുമ്മച്ചി മുറിഞ്ഞ വാചകത്തിൽ കഥകൾ പറയും. അന്നക്കുട്ടി, ഞാൻ മരിച്ചാലും നിന്നെ കാണാൻ വരും. പാതിര പിന്നിട്ട് മൂന്നാം നാഴിക ആഞ്ഞിലിക്കൊമ്പീന്ന് കൂമൻ മൂളും. നടക്കല്ലിൽ ഊന്നുവടി കുത്തുന്ന ഒച്ച കേൾക്കും. ഞാനാണെന്ന് കരുതണം. ഞാൻ പിടിപിടിച്ച് ഊർന്നിറങ്ങും. വെല്ലുമ്മച്ചിയുടെ കൈകൾക്ക് വല്ലാത്ത പരിപരിപ്പ്. ആ കൈകൊണ്ടാണ് ചെമ്പൻകുളം പാറമടയിലെ മെറ്റില് മുഴുവൻ അടിച്ചെടുത്തത്. വെല്ലുമ്മച്ചിക്കെന്നും ഒരു പാറക്കല്ലിൻ്റെ കടുപ്പം. എത്ര ദിവസം കഴിഞ്ഞെന്നറിയില്ല, ജനാലകളില്ലാത്ത ചായ്പീന്ന് 3 ദിവസം നിർത്താതെ ചുമ കേട്ടു. വെല്ലുമ്മച്ചി കെട്ടുപോയെന്ന് അമ്മ കള്ളക്കരച്ചിൽ കരഞ്ഞു. തണുത്ത നെറ്റിയിൽ ഞാൻ അറച്ച് ചുംബിച്ചു. അടക്കിന് വന്നവർ ചാറ്റമഴ കൊണ്ട് ശവക്കോട്ടക്കൊന്നിറങ്ങി. എത്ര കൊല്ലം കഴിഞ്ഞെന്നറിയില്ലല്ലോ, രാത്രി വണ്ടിക്ക് വന്നിറങ്ങിയ എന്നെ ടോർച്ച് നീട്ടി അകത്തേക്ക് വിളിച്ച വ്യാകുല മാതാവ് ചോറും വിളമ്പിത്തന്ന് കണ്ണങ്ങ് കുഴിഞ്ഞല്ലോ, തോളല് തെളിഞ്ഞല്ലോ എന്ന് പരാതി പറയുമ്പോൾ ആഞ്ഞിലിയെന്ന് കൂമം മൂളി. നടക്കല്ലിൽ 3 വട്ടം ഊന്നുവടി കൊണ്ട് തട്ടി. ചത്തുപോയവരിനി വരണ്ട, അമ്മ പ്രാകുന്നു. ജീവിച്ചിരുന്നപ്പോൾ കണ്ടില്ലേ കൊച്ചുമക്കളെ, ചത്തുപോയവർ കാണണ്ട. അമ്മ കൊന്ത ഇറുക്കി പിടിച്ചു. പാരമ്പര്യത്തെ ഒരു വാതിലിനപ്പുറം നിർത്തി കഥകടച്ച് കുറ്റിയിട്ടു. കാറ്റിൽ കുന്തിരിക്കപ്പുകയുടെ മണം കാത്തുനിന്ന് മുഷിഞ്ഞ് വെല്ലുമ്മച്ചി പരലോകത്തേക്ക് മടങ്ങിപ്പോയി. So it's about a grandmother coming back to see her grandchildren after she died. But then the people in that house, they can't open the door and let the ancestral spirit in because they are Christians. Yeah, so that's the confusion. So these are the poems, and next we can discuss. Thank you so much.
Can Aleena take a selfie with you all?
I'm really bad at taking selfies.
Yeah.
Can you just click a picture of me then? Okay, then it's
Done.
fine. It's okay. Thank you for the cooperation, guys. Even though I didn't take a picture.
So when I asked Aleena that does she need printouts, because I certainly do, because I'm at a certain age, guys, I can't squint into my phone anymore. And she was like, no, it'll ruin the aesthetic. And I was like, it's true. And then I've ruined the aesthetic officially with my question. Okay, so like where I don't even know where to start, because this is very exciting for all of us to have Aleena here, and we had the fortunate chance to spend a little bit of time with her yesterday and today, and so we've been having lots of conversations, and then we're
Yeah.
thinking, what are the juicy bits that we need to talk about with everybody? And I'm sure everybody has like a lot of deeper questions and controversial questions and just stuff that we need to discuss. But I thought we'll start with just first of all, I'm just curious because from a writing perspective, you at a very young age, early 20s, mid 20s, early mid 20s, you decided that you're going to write an entire book of poems. And I'm not going to give them the answer. I know because I asked you this. Was this something that you did over years, or how did you decide that it's going to become a collection of poems?
Yeah, I at first I didn't think that this is gonna be a collection of poems, and I just wrote because I was exposed to a lot of mediocre Savarna literature, and I thought I can do better.
Yes.
So that's how it happened. Yeah, yeah, at first I'm writing these poems in Malayalam, and I just saw it as an extension of all the bullshit I post online. I didn't think much about the poems I've been writing, and I thought, um, whatever, people started liking it, and I thought, yeah, this is cool. And actually, I was like a writer kid in school. We all have like writer kids, dancer kids, singer kids in school, and they get special treatment. And and my parents also, they, even though they were not like, writers, or they were not even that educated themselves, but they kind of value writers, and they think writers are like big people. So they encourage this writing from a young age as well. My mother, she took me to competitions, writing competitions and all. So writing was like a sport for me when I was in school. So you get to compete with other kids, and you get like prize monies like 500 rupees, and I recharge internet with that. When I was in college, I used to like, attend all this. That time internet was so expensive, and you got this small phone, and it is gonna take a lot of data to load one page, and that small phone, no, that folding one. So yeah, that was like a sport. But then when I grew up, I started like, the confidence thing and everything. I didn't think that people are going to read this. So I thought I can write whatever I want to. But nowadays I'm more like, reserved. I'm careful, like how to write. What are people gonna think? So it's like there is this pressure to write good poems. Like you make it good. But before that, I used to be like, write whatever. So nowadays I feel like I have to like bring that back, that careless poet
Yeah.
back. Yeah, that's what I feel about the whole thing.
Yeah. We'll talk more about careless poet, bringing careless poet back a little bit into
Yeah.
this. But I wanted to start with something with the rise of attention that you've gotten on Instagram, right? And I believe that you've struck a certain chord resonance with people. And I was telling you this morning that it's because, and I was trying to find the right words for it, but it's so difficult. But it's like you don't pledge allegiance to any one part of systemic oppression or just all the varieties of things that you're doing, right? So because you're a person who's simultaneously talking about Dalit Christianity from a very from a very local perspective, then from a very pan-Indian perspective, but then you're also critical of the church, but then you're also able to articulate why faith and cultural heritage is still important for people. And in that way, a lot of your work searches for something that's like this honest accountability, and it's kind of stripped out of ego, which I know your trolls will disagree with, but I feel like that is a defining characteristic of your work. And so I wanted to ask you what you feel about that.
I think conforming to one group, especially while talking about politics, it's a bit dangerous path. That we have to, if we are with a group, because I come from Kerala, we have got a lot of student organizations, and when we are in college, some kids, they join these organizations, and they will be good people individually, but they will be forced to, justify the things these students groups are doing. They might be forced to justify even murders. So those things happen in Kerala colleges. So I've learned that it is too dangerous to associate yourselves with, because it's a very familiar trap to fall into this confirmation bias. We cannot even think freely. We cannot even idealizing certain ideologies, and that's not gonna do any good to you. So I felt like, if and following the masses, and in that sort of way, like some people say that you have to be a Buddhist to be an Ambedkarite, because I don't agree with that. Uh, like Dalit people, they are like very wide variety of Dalits out there, and you cannot ask everyone to convert into Buddhism. So yeah, this is also like, very Puritan idea of what anti-caste movement is. So this is like, it's very problematic to, like, and some people, they don't even feel personally that way. Like, they may personally feel like you don't have to convert to Buddhism, but at the same time they are following the same ideology. So they are like forced to compelled, not forced, compelled to do certain things. So I don't think that kind of following the masses is good for the work. And again, what was the question? I'm sorry.
I knew we already said we were going to do this. No, but it's going to extend anyway to a larger
Yeah.
point that
Did
we
I
discussed.
answer your question?
Yes, but I'm going to now plug in another question,
Okay.
which has got to do with the specifics of identity politics that is on social media. And we've been discussing that anything and anything will be weaponized. Now, you just said it's dangerous to have allegiance with just one way of thinking, because that leads to the same issues that we probably face today. But what I'm trying to say is that there is a space where oppression is being weaponized, and to specifically talk about issues from a point of view of self-righteousness. Your work lacks self-righteousness. Do you see there's a discernible difference in saying out things very bluntly, shaking up people because they're very truthful, um, but not, but still yet being very everything that you say in your poems or your videos aren't pointing somebody to a particular right philosophy of thinking in one particular way. Is that something that you're aware of?
I'll answer the first part, like what is happening in social media in terms of politics and everything. I think social media has uh, helped marginalized communities a lot in terms of political mobilization and everything. But there is no one to look after us out there. So people are on their own. They have the community, they have the support, everything, but people are on their own. But when I was in college, that's when I started being a part of anti-caste movements and all. I was like under the, like, what do you say, like the guardianship or something, under the guardianship of older Dalit feminists in Kerala. So they know, they are doing the grassroots level work, they are doing crisis management, so they know how to diffuse situations, how to manage difficult point of views, how to negotiate. So I was in a very comfortable space there, but still they are older women, they are from a different generation, they are not going to agree with you on everything. You have to like hide certain aspects of your life from them, because they are going to judge. They are going to judge in a way that, Aleena, what are you doing? You are poor, you can't do this. You can't just hang around and do nothing. How many articles did you write last month? And why are you not joining for PhD? What are you doing? So this kind of conversation. So it's like they have like higher and higher expectations of you. And then during COVID, I think during the lockdown, I became friends with people my age, and I started liking it. Wow, this is cool, this is nice, people my age, they are not going to judge me about anything. And then I found this wisdom, no, these older women possessed, they lack this kind of wisdom, they don't know what to do in the face of disagreements. They don't know how to diffuse the situations. They don't know if some two people are fighting, they don't know what to do. So everybody has this kind of strengths and weaknesses when it comes to online and this kind of talking uh, our truths to a larger crowd. So maybe, and this self-righteousness, like you said, it is something I have observed in people, but I don't want to be like, a self-righteous person. Like this I have felt that I am a marginalized person, so whatever I say is true. And this is like, and using that as a shield, like saying, oh, I'm neurodivergent. Like neurodivergence is like an issue that you have difficulties, just like any other marginalized, like saying I'm queer and using it as a shield. We see that online, like, and all these things are not going to help us. We have to like take accountability where it is due, and we have to acknowledge our privileges. We all have privileges. So people doing politics on social media, they like to distance themselves from the privileges. Like privileges are a bad thing. Like everybody is like, oh, I'm so underprivileged. Nobody is that underprivileged in the world. Everybody got some kind of privilege, and we move through the world uh, in that kind of a complex situation. So sometimes you have privileges, sometimes you don't. Sometimes your privileges help you, sometimes your lack of privileges won't help you. So that kind of situation, it's not like, and this is more like, a race or oppression Olympics, that's kind of thing. But I certainly don't want to do any of those things, and I'm careful about not doing that. Maybe my privileges, like being a cisgender woman and being traditionally educated or something, if that is preventing me from understanding another person's struggles, I should be accountable for it. Yeah, and we have to, and and we have to acknowledge our privileges as well. We don't pretend like, oh, I'm coming from this and this, but you are here, it didn't happen on accident. Your privileges definitely helped you to be here. And acknowledging the privileges is helping to build a community. It's not for the other category, it's not for the oppressor to understand or identify us. It's for our people to relate to us or connect to us. If I am here and I'm not being honest about where I'm coming from and what are the privileges I had, just like my father, he used to read a lot, even though he didn't like study much. He used to read a lot, and just because of him reading, I could be a writer. Otherwise, it would have been very difficult for me to pursue this fancy career, whimsical career as a writer. Such an uncertain path, no. It's so uncertain. If my parents are not understanding what I'm doing, like not the importance of what I'm doing, it would be very difficult for me to make them understand and convince them, Mama, I'm going for this career only. And that takes a lot of energy, and I don't have to do that. I just have to like let them know, today I'm going to Bangalore doing this. I don't have to explain. And that in itself is a privilege. Maybe someone from a different family have to fight to be a writer. I didn't have to fight to be a writer. So that is a privilege I had. And a lot of small things accumulates into a lot of privilege later in our lives. Because yesterday I was telling Ria that I had well in my
Oh,
house.
this is good.
I have a well in my house. That is privilege, because Dalits at large, they don't have access to clean water. So having a well is a privilege, because even though it was not motorized, I had to like fetch water every day. So every morning when I have to go to school, I don't have to like carry pots dangling on my body and in a different person's house and fetch water and carry that pot home. I didn't have to do that because there is a well in my yard. I didn't dig that well. My grandfather did. I didn't acquire that privilege. It was there It is not an acquired privilege. So my classmates, they had to actually go to other people's houses and fetch water, and it seriously took time. So during that time, I could do anything I want. Maybe I could stand in the mirror and look myself in the mirror, say whatever I can do. So that time itself is a privilege. That time is getting so free for me. I don't understand the significance of that time, and that free time is helping me to focus more on my studies. But my classmates are fetching water in someone else's house, and they have to be aware of the moods of their house owner, like what they're feeling, and are they fighting, the husband and wife, are they fighting, is the right time to go. So all these things they have to take an account. So these small things, they accumulate over time, and it becomes huge privilege, and not acknowledging it is not a good thing. That's what I feel.
And I think that is so. It's very rare to see that, because when we had this conversation yesterday, and she was telling me about the well, and saying that there was a privilege, and I'm like, our social locations are so different that for me it was water. Water, I'm supposed to be grateful for water. I like, it's there. It's something that was always there and not a well. But here you are tracking that also as a privilege. And the whole point is that people are so scared because of internet politics today to be scared of the word privilege. But the point is, privilege is what affords you to do so many things.
Yeah.
But it's the cognizance of what you have to understand that so many other elements like time, bandwidth, emotional constraints with the family, all of these things are privileges that you have decided, whatever you've identified in your personal privileges, that you're using to speak and write for an audience of your people, right?
Yeah.
And I find that to be the way that, I mean, the actual question is, how do you think that we need to renegotiate and reimagine this word of privilege in our political discussions?
Yeah, people often think that having privilege is a bad thing, but having privilege is not a bad thing, because it's not something you chose to do, right? It's not something. And what are you doing with that privilege? Like, what are you using? And the privilege, it's because you are not a good person. I'm sorry, it's because the privilege happens not because you are a good person, not because it is purely fate. It's fate only. And you have to reconcile with the fact that you are privileged, right? People are like, people can't, like, understand that, like, it's normal, everybody got privileges, and certain of your privileges are built onto the oppression of other people, and that also you have to be aware of, and maybe use a teeny tiny bit of your privilege to actually make a difference.
Yes.
Share your resources,
Yeah.
amplify the voices, give platforms to other people. Yeah, these are the things we have to consciously do, because I don't think, like, I have worked with a lot of people in the past. I don't think they are castists or anything, but they are not anti-caste. That's the problem. Not being a casteist is not enough. You have to consciously make a choice to be anti-caste or be a feminist or something. So people, they may not be, like, misogynistic or something, but they are not feminist.
Exactly.
So that's the problem. So what I have observed in my past colleagues and everything, we all work in this art field and everything. So whatever they are doing, only other Savarna people are included, other elite people are included, other such so and so are included. So if you want to, like, actually make include a person who is less privileged than you, you have to consciously take that effort. You have to think. You may not, like, find you out there when you are just listing their names, but you have to, like, consciously think about making that change. And if you are, like, if you are so honest and so convinced of your politics, this things like inclusion and everything will come naturally to you.
Yeah.
That's also there.
Woo!
So,
Yes.
so I think people like misogynistic people making films, misogyny is in the film. I don't think it's a conscious choice to include misogyny. And they are not like, I'm gonna make a patriarchal movie. No, they are very patriarchal people. That's why their movie is patriarchal. So
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
we have to, if you have to like make a conscious choice to include the people and include especially regarding sharing the resources, make that conscious choice. Be consciously anti-caste. Not being being a casteist is not enough.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have to actively be anti-caste. Yeah, that's what I feel.
To actively take a stance,
Yeah,
whatever it
yeah,
is.
yeah.
Not just nice people.
Yeah,
Nice
don't be
people make
nice.
patriarchal movies.
Yeah,
Nice
yeah.
people just keep the caste situation running, and yeah,
Yeah, they are not castes, their parents are.
exactly.
They are okay with it,
And
but their
their
parents
family's
are
too toxic, so they can't talk to them.
Yeah,
So
there are some people they can't even stand up to their own parents. You know, my amma is a very Christian woman, so obviously she is homophobic. So she was like very. In recent years, there is a lot of representation in the movies of trans people and everything, and she was like, no, I'm not. I don't find. I think I don't understand trans people why they are doing it, and I was like, Amma, God created them.
wow.
They are also the children of God.
Touche.
And she was like, yeah, that's true.
Oh wow.
Yeah, she cannot tell me that God did not create them
Yeah.
because that's against Bible.
Correct. Yeah.
Because God created everyone.
Yes.
So
The good Lord created them all.
yeah. So as a Christian woman, she is supposed to love them, love everybody. You cannot make exceptions. And so we know our parents better than anyone else. If we cannot stand up to them, uh, then what is the point
Yeah.
of talking all this politics, writing articles? And there was this one person who used to be a friend in the past. They were so scared of their casteist mother that they told them that I'm a Latin Christian. Like Latin Christian is like a Bahujan Christian, not Dalit. Dalit Christian. If they say that I'm a Dalit Christian, their Amma won't like it. So these kind of people are among us who can't take a stand. And what is the mother gonna do? Beat you up? You're 30. Your mother is not gonna beat you up. So you are not children, so you can like take stands at least in front of your parents. So yeah, that's it.
Yeah. Now on juicy topic,
Yeah.
which is being on. Well, it's not that juicy actually, but it's kind of juicy. So it's like, so you know how you're discussing about the cultural capital one might get in, and listen, it's not a good time for any creative to be in business right now. Across the board, and I would say that all over the world, a lot of creative writers, designers, everybody's having a hard time making rent. But what I want to say is that when a writer or a creator in the Indian specific in the Indian wow, cannot think of words today. The Indian sphere, um, a Dalit creator today can have visibility, can have many followers. Yet there seems to be a cultural capital that they will gain, but not a material one. Or the material one will come at a very, very slow pace. Or you are morally locked into staying that within that creation. Because, and we made a joke today. We said, well, what if a brand deal for a shampoo came to you today, right? And then you said, and then I said, go ahead. Go ahead.
And I just said, People doesn't care if I talk about conditioning your hair unless I'm talking about Brahminical conditioning or something.
So I said maybe a shampoo company can come and say condition with deconditioned Brahminical patriarchy conditioner. But if she did do something like that, obviously they're not going to say Brahminical patriarchy in the shampoo ad. You would be under a lot more scrutiny from people to say, oh, well, she's a sellout, or oh, we can't take her seriously anymore. And this is the reality of capitalism that we're all in, right? So you are expected to either earn your keep through a PhD or a fellowship, which can be limited and very, far in between. So, I mean, and I see this as a larger cultural phenomenon, like the trap that gives you the visibility also will punish you for the same thing later
Yeah.
on. And
Yeah.
how do you feel about that? And also, as a larger culture, how do you feel about that?
Yeah, the larger culture is like people from marginalized communities, it is very difficult for them to actually capitalize on their achievements. Like, it is very difficult. If you look at me, I have done a lot of things in my past. Like, I have got achievements, like traditionally achievements, achievement is a good thing. But when I compare myself with people with a lot of privileges, people from certain families, and what they're doing with their life, so they're making a lot of money and in better positions. So I thought, okay, I'm getting one achievement, and I'm gonna think like, oh, this is gonna grow my career, this is gonna be a steady growth. But then this achievement happens, then nothing. Then I will move very slow, and then another achievement happens. Then I'll think, oh, this I'm gonna make a lot of money now, or I'm gonna be like, a huge artist or something. But no, you are not going to. and and it's a cycle repeats, and in and nobody will come looking for you until it's Dalit History Month.
Yeah.
So so this one April, you're gonna be so busy giving interviews after interviews. You're gonna be so busy, and after that, for 11 months, you'll be so free. like and this is like, it's very hard for us to actually capitalize on our achievements, even and to for us to reach in that achievement. That's also another journey. And but still, after that, when you are there, but still you cannot push that forward, or our career growth is not gonna be like this. It's gonna be like one thing, then steady, then one thing steady. So, and sooner or later we are gonna die.
Yeah.
And the another thing is that people like seeing artists broke. So
Yeah.
there is this romanticization of a broke artist who is uh, making art from their brokenness
Yeah.
and struggling
Yeah.
to make a living. There's so some they the general audience will feel so good that they are struggling. The good boy. That's how you make art. So there is this, and even in Kerala, in Malayalam literature, all these big novelists and filmmakers, they used to be like hippies. They don't sleep at their beds. If they are all privileged people, they are all privileged people. They don't even sleep at their beds. They just wander around like a hippie, and then they just grow their hair out, and then wear like dirty clothes, appropriate poverty. Like,
Yeah.
if you can appropriate poverty, they do that. So there is this image of an artist perpetually struggling. So if you are starting to make art and make money, then people are not gonna like it. So there is this larger context. Even film stars, like if a person came from humble backgrounds, people are very happy to support them. And when they start getting more and more movies and start to getting money, oh, now he's so arrogant, he used to be that, but we all supported him, and now he's so arrogant, he won't even inaugurate our organization for 10,000 rupees, he's so arrogant. So I have heard this thing, people saying this thing about artists in general, especially in more money making businesses like films, music, and so on. So there is this context also.
Yeah.
and the people are expecting certain things from certain artists to be like expecting certain things. If you are a cure person, people are expecting fashion advice from you. You have to be fashionable. You can't be both. You can't be cure and dressed worse. So that's like you have to pick one.
Yeah.
So there is there certain things, and there are other people who are kind of expecting you to like educate them and everything. And if you are saying something not useful in their lives, they are not gonna listen to you. Like if they want to read like romantic poetry, they will follow other artists, like read other artists. And only when I am like pushing my politics out there, then only my writing is valuable. So I have to like push my politics all the time. And there is another trap that we might fall, that if we are making art and writing, you can write addressing different people. We can either address savarnas, we can or we can address our people. So when we are addressing savarnas, that happens because we are so angry and we don't have any other way to put our anger out. That's why we address savarnas or other oppressor communities. And the savarnas only understand that when a piece of work is not centering them, they won't understand it.
Yep.
That's the point. Because last year I had this conversation with a college professor, and she told me that Dalit literature is same only. In every poem, they are saying the same things over and over. So it's getting boring, and students are also bored because syllabus literature is out there. So I was like, Dalit writers, they are not a monolith. They write about a hell lot of things. They write about everything. They write about their toothaches. They write about their first love. Then they write about caste, and then they write addressing savarnas. And the poems or the short stories addressing savarnas is the one that get acceptance, and that is the only one which is widely read. And those are the ones which get into syllabuses and everything in college curriculum and everything. So general public is more aware of the ones that are addressing savarnas. So the artists also feel compelled to center savarnas in their works. Like it's so embarrassing. Like
You called it the Regina. You called it the Regina George effect.
Regina George effect.
Okay, because there's a line in Mean Girls, and if anybody is too young over here to know what Mean Girls is, please go away. But Mean Girls, Regina girl is like the mean girl, and one of the other friends says, "I hate Regina George, but I want her to like me."
Yeah,
Right?
yeah, because it's like getting accepted by someone else. That's where money is. That's where visibility is. That's where power is. So we feel compelled to write addressing savarnas, but that's not gonna do any good in the long run. Maybe 10% of our work, write it addressing savarnas or other oppressor communities. But like, what's the point? Otherwise, what's the point of your writing? Savarnas write about savarnas. Even Dalits, when Dalits start writing about savarnas, like somebody write addressing to me. Like
Yeah.
somebody start writing. So I think this over exposure to savarna literature from a young age has actually like damaged my brain cells. That's why I took this long to become a writer.
Yeah.
Or otherwise, I would have published even in my college, because I used to write when I was in college and in school, and I was so much into Savarna literature. And Madhavi Kuti, Kamala Das, she was my favorite author, and she's writing from the perspective of a Savarna woman, and I was also writing from the perspective of a Savarna woman. Like I imagine myself as a Savarna woman living in a very Savarna household, doing Savarna things, and and I'll be like, these things. And there would be servants, people like my mother, and I'm like, I am alienating my own people, I'm alienating my own culture, because I didn't know. I thought this is literature supposed to look like, and I didn't know any other way to write. And only when I started getting exposed to literature written by other Dalits and other Bahujan people, I started to feel like, oh, this is also, we can also write like this. Then I have to write some poems. So this is like, it's very important. And the other thing, did you notice, whenever Hollywood cast an Indian person in their movies, they are obviously gonna be dark. They are all dark skinned, and the Indians have problem with it. They feel they are not being represented. Yesterday also, I saw a meme like in Hollywood films, it's always Indians are only dark. So like they feel underrepresented, and they start feeling they start making memes. They start throwing tantrums about it. It's obviously it's a racist thing to like to perceive Indians as a monolith. But what are you guys doing here? They are sad that they're just sad that they are the ones being underrepresented. It's not about equality. So yeah, and people understand they want representation, but the same representation we are asking in films, in popular culture, in literature, in government jobs, but that they cannot digest. So I think it's very important to to see ourselves in films when we are young. Otherwise, how are you gonna find out that you are actually important, or if you are not, if the popular culture is widely erasing you, like you don't even exist. So yeah, so uh, the question is like, this appealing to Savarna audience, this is actually a trap. And the thing is like, some writers and some artists, they don't appeal to Savarna audience in a way that they dilute their works, but uh, they make it in a way that, just like you said the other day, they are tapping into the Savarna guilt. They are like, some, it's, I don't understand what kind of a weird king is that.
It's a kink though. It's really there. Self-flagellating Savarnas.
So we have to be like I have to be like a Dalit dominatrix. Like, you are a bad
New
person.
career.
Like, your ancestors were bad.
The more lucrative than writing. Dominating.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Yeah. But what is the purpose of my writing if I'm gonna play around a dominatrix for them?
Yeah.
Because I want young women from my community to feel seen and heard when they read my works, or when they see me, they feel like, oh my god, girl, same. They want to feel, I want them to feel the same, because when I was young, I wasn't being exposed to this, and I know how I struggled with certain things. So if your writing is not appealing to your own people, then what's the point of writing? That's what I am feeling.
Mhm.
If your politics is not helping your people, then what's the point? Yeah.
Yep. I want to know, what's the time check? Do we have time for
9:22.
one more question? Okay, so then the one. Yes. Okay. So I want to round out this question with, I was so jealous because you write in 2 languages, and but what I wanted to know is your relationship in writing and expressing in both these languages. How you write in Malayali, how you write in English, and you told me Malayalam. Sorry. Wow. Cancelled. Cancelled. Malayalam. It wasn't. There was no way it was going to go without me doing one cancellation. Yeah. Uh, how you express in Malayalam, and you said you feel like 2 different people.
Yeah, of course, because Malayalam have this huge culture of poetry, especially from the community. Like, Dalit poets are so big in Malayalam. Like, if you are taking 10 poets, 10 good Malayalam poets, 6 people are going to be from Dalit Adivasi communities. So poetry, poetry is you don't need a lot of network to write poetry or something. Like you're not gonna make a film. So for to make a film, you need networks, you need money, you need a lot of resources. But writing poetry compared to that, it's easier. So the only art form is which is accessible to my people is mostly poetry and writing. Even fiction writing is not that accessible because you have to like dedicate huge chunks of your time of your life, but poetry is like compared to that, it's easier because you need to do, you can finish that in one sitting if you want to. So there are a lot of poets from the community in the Malayalam literary scene. So there are a lot of versions of the same story. So it's a lot of competition there because there will be only one representation from the community. And everyone is fighting for that one chair. So you have to be exceptionally good. You have to be exceptionally good to be considered a poet. But I don't feel the same about English because in English we have a lot of bad poets. I mean, in Malayalam also we have bad poets, but they are not selling million copies or anything. Everybody knows they are bad poets. Like, like some people say they're not poets, but they're poets. I'm not denying their poet status or anything. But I have always felt that good literature happens in regional language. That I think that's a fact, right? That's an objective, universal truth. So what I feel is that in English, maybe I can do like lot of experiments, like what to write. If I'm gonna do an experimentation in Malayalam, people are going to like, be like, Aleena, don't do that. It's not very poetic or anything. But in English, I think I can be more myself because I'm talking in a different language, which is not mine. I can be mean. I got the knot, guys.
No, she just give
Oh. Sorry. No, in Kerala we get these notes. That's time to finish your talk. It's like finish in 5 minutes. 5 minutes more. I thought that's the knot.
1 minute.
Wow.
Then audience questions.
Oh my god. Oh, sorry guys.
You have
So
a
it's
knot?
like in Malayalam, I have to be a bit more careful, and I kind of make characters and make the characters speak for themselves. I'm not there. It's the character. It's not me. But in English, I'm speaking from my I first person narrative, so I can express other things I want without uh, feeling like I'm being judged because it's not my language. So this I heard this theory. This people who knows more than one language, they switch to another language when they are talking about an uncomfortable thing. Yeah. So English is like it's more comfortable to be me. Like yeah, yeah,
Shall we go? And I mean, this was absolutely wonderful. And I know the audience has a lot of questions. So
Yeah.
before, like, I want to give them that time to ask the questions. And I think Indu's going to curate this.
So you guys know I am a professional yapper, right?
Yeah.
Yap. So,
So, so ask accordingly.
yeah.
Very small and quick question. Okay, before I ask the question, just comment also. I wish I attended this thing with my some of my friends. I wish they were sitting here and listening to all of this. I'm not as convincing as you are and your poets. Kwanzaa. The question is, when you talk about certain historical facts, like that the children were big, can I ask the question in a mix, like Malayalam and
Yeah.
so in big you keep the children or like നിലത്ത് കുഴി കൊത്തി ഫുഡ് കൊടുക്കുമായിരുന്നു ഡാഡി ഓർ ഇൻ ലൈക് കൊച്ചി ആ ഭാഗങ്ങളിലുള്ള പള്ളിയുടെ ബേസ്മെന്റ് യൂസ് ടു ബി കെപ്റ്റ് അണ്ടിൽ ദേ കുഡ് ബി ഷിഫ്റ്റ് ഇങ്ങനത്തെ ഹിസ്റ്റോറിക്കൽ ഫാക്ട്സ് പറയുന്നു like I had like these were no I didn't get them from a textbook. They were told to me as as history by my grandparents and stuff. One party tells it with like cautionary tale, other one tells it right, but we gave them religion in return, that sort of thing. And later when I bring it up in scholarly spaces, like in front of this is said.
Yeah.
അങ്ങനത്തെ സിറ്റുവേഷൻസിൽ ഹാവ് യു ബീൻ അങ്ങനെ ഉണ്ടായിരുന്നപ്പോൾ
Yeah. I think I have been in that because a lot of things are so we are so exposed to the lot of things, and all this revisionist history came recently. So before that it was all well accepted history. They were mainstream history because there were slavery, that was history. So after, like, in a couple of years, people came up with a lot of revisionist history, like, that thing didn't happen, sati didn't happen. How are we going to prove that? Maybe we can bring things from the history books, and people are still, they are not going to believe it, but certain things which are only in the oral tradition, certain things are only in the oral tradition. And I have heard my historian friends tell me this, that they talk to people and they collect stories, and they try to match it with colonial records. If there it is mentioned somewhere, so it is like that only, like, your history is history only if a white missionary thought it is important enough to record it. So other than that, you cannot verify it, you cannot do that. Maybe we can tell us that this is like an oral tradition, like Brahmins came from Brahma's mouth or something. Something like, can you prove it? No, na. So yeah.
Hi, Aleena.
Hi.
This question is very important because I feel that one of the reasons why I keep listening to what you're about to say is because the intersections you come from. You're not just a Dalit person, you're also a Dalit woman who's talking about this, which adds another layer of all of these things that you unpack in your poems. So one of the things which you see in Tamil cinema right now is that there's a wave of Dalit directors for directing movies. One of the things which I constantly crib about is that how underrepresented these women are. These Dalit women are powerful in a certain way in these roles, where they're also nobody in that movie. They're so powerful to this hero she's gonna boss around him and say what is going to happen. But she does not hold so much of value or a worth as herself in the movie. That is something which I keep seeing, that Dalit men also constantly oppress Dalit women continuously, maybe subconsciously, or to prove a point that how much I'm a man, even though I'm a Dalit man, I'm a little above you. So we keep seeing this idea of oppression amongst Dalit community itself by being a woman or being a queer person and all of that. And I want to know how this intersection affects you as a as a poet, and how that affects you, and also how as a feminist Dalit woman, you existing as a poet on social media affects you.
Yeah.
That is something that I wanted to touch upon.
Yeah.
That's a
Also,
very complex question.
also I am very dark and I am very visibly Dalit. So I cannot. So all these intersections are there. The thing I understand is that first about the Tamil movies and how underrepresented they are. I have often felt that even if Dalit men are making movies, they are making characters through their imagination of how a Dalit woman should appear in a movie. So it is a political decision to add a strong woman, strong Dalit woman in that movie. I am a Dalit woman. I always have to be strong. So all these things, yeah. And they are also working from their imagination of how a Dalit woman should be, rather than looking at real breathing Dalit women and trying to understand what's up with them. So also that is there. And also I don't watch a lot of movies from Tamil because they the from these the directors you mentioned, because they show a lot of violence which is quite uncomfortable to me, because why you have to face violence and also see it in a movie? Why? If I one thing I can avoid, I will avoid it. No, So this is only one aspect of being a Dalit person, is being exposed to violence. That's only one thing. And there are other things too. There are other things, other important things. And about Dalit men, we usually keep this in our private discussions. Maybe this is the first time we are talking in a public crowd about Dalit men. Some Dalit men, they think that they are the only politics they have to do is teaching Dalit women how to do politics. So they always come up and tell something like, you are doing your politics wrong. Let me teach you how to do proper politics. So that's there. And Dalit men, they have these kind of tendencies to like, talk over Dalit women, and that is there. And the general public is only interested in Dalit men being like this, like only interested in this intersection, unless they can demonize Dalit men somehow. About, yeah, so we
Yeah.
have to be
Yeah.
aware of all these things. Then only we can properly, tackle that. So there are Dalit women face more domestic violence than their Savarna counterparts. Sometimes in certain surveys, it's 40% more. And nobody cares until it is to paint Dalit men as this alcoholic, wife beating monsters. Nobody cares. If you know Dalit women are facing intimate partner violence more, where is your solidarity? Where is your empathy? Where is your kindness? I'm not seeing any of these things. So these intersections, and these are very important, and sometimes we have to navigate this quietly because we don't want them to attack Dalit men. At the same time, we have to hold Dalit men accountable, and we have to tell them that don't teach me politics. I know how to do my things. And even in the past few months, some Dalit men have like came to me with advices on how to do this. Dude, I know how to do this. Let me be on my own. Like, and these ladies, some ladies I know from Kerala, they are like, they write their things, then show their Dalit men, husband or boyfriend, and then get their approval and then do their politics. But Dalit women, we cannot do this politics with the blessings of our men. So we should be on our own. We can support each other. We can be supportive of each other. But at the same time, we have to still call out their bullshit. So yeah.
Hi, Aleena.
Hi.
I'm actually here more so for the think pieces you put out on Reels that beyond your poetry. Like I really like the stuff that you talk about on Reels, especially the thing about like Jesus and Paul and like calling out Christianity. And the thing I wanted to ask you was something I saw on like a thought that I saw on Instagram a few days ago regarding position like specifically Savarna people positioning themselves as anti-caste, like especially mental health professionals, like people whose jobs hinge on like them maintaining a certain kind of politics. And someone mentioned that like positioning yourself as anti-caste but not doing anything, actually doing anything tangible about it is a huge problem. So like I want to know your thoughts on like seeing Savarna people publicly proclaim themselves as anti-caste, and are they actually doing anything about it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Basically, that was the question.
Yeah, actually, that just like I said before, we have to be actively anti-caste, consciously anti-caste. There is something Sumit Samos has said before. He said that how is Dalit people overcoming caste? They are overcoming caste by studying hard, getting into Harvard, getting into JNU, talking in 3 languages, like getting a 30 lakh per annum job. That's how they overcome caste. How is Havannas overcoming caste? They learn about Dalit politics. They have to do that only. Then do that properly. We are not asking you to be like superhuman and do all these things which are beyond your capacity. It's not like that. We are just asking you to only you're supposed to do learn a little more about us, about the culture, and what you can do about it. That's all. And if you can't do that more, then why call yourself anti-caste? But because calling yourself anti-caste or ally is not allying. It's not, your allyship is not allying properly. So we have to like constantly make that choice, like, we have to do something about it. Share, especially sharing space, sharing your resources, like how many of you are ready to share your resources. So this thing, I find it funny that everybody is like, Jesus said, if you have two shirts, you should give two shirts, one shirt to another person. If you have two dresses, you should give one dress to another person. But pastors in church, they are quoting it, they are like modernizing in a way that they would say that if you have two TVs, you should give one TV to another one. People say amen to that. People say amen to that because nobody has two TVs, but everybody has two shirts. So talking about sharing resources and in that way, when it doesn't challenge status quo, if it is something you can do and people get really uncomfortable about it, so that's something I can do. But when you are saying about like corporates paying their dues, like distributing profit, you agree to that because you don't have to do anything about it. You just have to like,
Yeah.
but when certain things, when people can actually do and they are not doing it, like for example, not talking against reservation, that's something you can do. But when we are saying not talking against reservation is a form of, mild, soft, problematic behavior, then they'll get uncomfortable because they want to continue doing it. So yeah, you have to be actively anti-caste and actively try to do this. Yeah.
And just to interrupt here, it's 9:30. So anyone who needs to leave, please you're welcome to leave. We'll just do one more question here and wrap up. So anybody who needs to leave, thank you so much for coming. Hi, Aleena.
Hi.
So thank you for all the relatable words that you.
I'm trying to find where you are. Okay.
So it was a funny conversation between me and my sister when I said that I'm attending this event. She was like, "It's about good Christian girls. Do not talk about caste. You identify yourself as an atheist. So why are you going to this event?" Was her question, and I just kept thinking about it because like I'm sitting here processing all the things that you are talking, and I'm just thinking like how do I deal with the dissonance, like my identity as a Dalit Christian, and also like how I am evolving with time with my political like orientation and all those things, and also the different standpoints that I take, like when I'm a socio-ecological researcher, when I'm in the field addressing communities, I take a role as a woman and where to represent myself as just a BC Christian, and where do I put myself out as a Dalit Christian, like it is like a dissonance that I go through. And do you, as a writer, do you come like when you're putting out your voice? How do you deal with this dissonance? Like, is there some bias that like unconsciously that runs through your head? Like, I want to understand.
Happy to see another Dalit Christian out there. Yeah, and actually, I feel like religion as a faith and religion as an identity is like two different things. You can be a non-practicing Christian and be still called a conversion mafia. And so we cannot quite distance ourselves from the religion thing. So if you are not practicing, we have to be like, yeah, I find certain things of the religion I grew up, the faith I grew up problematic, so I don't want to be associated with it. We can personally do it, but the society is going to always see you as a this person. So that's I don't know if this the same thing exists in other countries, but in India it's like that. Especially for minority religions like Muslims and for Christians, you cannot not be the faith you're born. So here everything is associated with your birth. Everything comes from your birth. So if you're born into a Christian family, you are Christian. You are born into a Dalit family, you are Dalit. So these identities are like that. So we have to like, when we are navigating all these spaces, we have this extra pressure to be conscious about it, and be understanding about it, and we have to. This is like a personal journey. It's our own journey. So I feel like, and there is other politics, the larger political context of the Hindutva, and there is even larger context of Christianity being so misogynistic and homophobic. That's there. So we have to, like, navigate all these things. And there are our parents who are like very Christian, and they find solace through this faith, and we have to take them into consideration in a way, not agreeing to everything they say, but because this is something which has historically helped people to overcome difficulties in that way only. So I was a very Christian person in my childhood. I read like Bible. I have studied Bible like a lot of times. I have read Bible. This is a huge book. If yeah, it's just such a huge book, and I spent a lot of time studying it, and I was like a believer. And when I stopped being a believer, then only I could understand what it is written. So this is all confirmation bias. So they are they are telling you that Jesus is such a person, and you are only gonna see him as that person. This is like magic, witchcraft. Once you stop believing that, then you can see a different picture of Jesus being angry, Jesus being petty, meaner, and talking back at people. So we can see him more as a human. So this is like, these are complex things that we have to navigate, and I hope I answered your question. Yeah, that dissonance is there, but we have to, like, somehow make peace with it, and somehow make our lives work. That is the ultimate thing. We have to make our living work. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you, Aleena.
So we're at time.
We're at time.
Yeah, we would probably love to take the conversation further, but unfortunately we need to start passing out and moving out. Thank you so much, everyone, for being here today. It's been so much fun.
Yeah, I had so much fun.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much.
There are postcards with Aleena out there, and she has chosen a fundraiser she actually really believes in. There's information about the school, and we've designed some postcards. Indu's designed some postcards based on her poetry, so you can buy one. I think it's 100 rupees each, and you can GPay directly
To that NGO.
yeah, directly to the NGO. All the information is over there. So, thank you so much for coming.
Thank you so much. Yeah, we did it.